My mother stole $35,000 from me, claiming it was for life-saving heart surgery. A week later, I saw her posing in front of Big Ben, halfway across the world, on my dime. That moment, scrolling through social media in my quiet Atlanta office, the air conditioning humming, felt like a physical blow. It was a cold, hard truth hitting me. Every assumption I'd ever made about love and family loyalty had just shattered. I was 34, a senior financial analyst, and until 18 months ago, I truly believed my mother, Linda, loved me. I trusted my sister, Chloe, with my life. I thought family was sacred. I was wrong about all of it. Growing up, favoritism wasn't subtle in our house. My younger sister, Chloe, was the golden child. She inherited Mom's delicate features and Dad's striking green eyes. I was the plain one, too tall, mousy brown hair, a face full of freckles Mom called unfortunate. Chloe could do no wrong. When she failed classes, tutors appeared. When I brought home straight A's, it was just expected. When Chloe crashed Dad's car at 17, she got a new one. When I asked for college tuition help, Mom told me to get loans like everyone else. I worked 3 jobs through college, graduated with honors, and clawed my way up the corporate ladder. Chloe, meanwhile, floated through life on a cloud of parental support. She married Mark, a medical equipment salesman who made decent money, but never enough for her expensive tastes. They had 2 kids. I remained single, focused, building the financial security no one ever handed me. By my early 30s, I'd saved $47,000. That money represented years of sacrifice, overtime, skipped vacations, and denied luxuries. Every dollar was earned. My father, David, passed away 3 years ago from a sudden stroke. His death hit me harder than I expected. Despite his complicity in the favoritism, he'd shown me small kindnesses my mother never did, a quiet word of encouragement, a proud look for a promotion. Nothing grand, but enough to make me feel seen. After his death, Linda's health became a constant topic. She complained about chest pains, shortness of breath. Chloe called regularly, worried, saying Mom was fragile, that we needed to rally as a family. I believed them, desperate for tragedy to finally bring us closer. 14 months ago, Linda called, crying. Her sobs triggered every protective instinct. She said the cardiologist found a serious blockage, she needed surgery. The procedure was covered, but there were additional costs, extended hospital stays, specialized aftercare, medications insurance wouldn't cover, rehab. She estimated $35,000. I asked about Medicare. She gave a confusing explanation about coverage gaps, experimental treatments. I should have questioned it, demanded documentation. But she was my mother. She was scared she'd die. The next morning, I transferred $35,000 to her account. It took less than 30 seconds. Staring at the confirmation, I felt a complex mix, fear for her, pride I could help, and a tiny spark of hope. Maybe this crisis would finally bridge the gap. Maybe she'd see my love. I texted her, money sent. Mom, please let me know when surgery is scheduled. I want to be there. 3 hours later, thank you, sweetheart. We'll keep you posted. Love you. Those 2 words made my heart swell. She rarely said them to me. Chloe heard them constantly. For me, they were precious, doled out like treats for a trick well performed. I screenshot that message. Pathetic, I know, a grown woman treasuring a text. But you need to understand my entire life to grasp why those words meant so much. The days after the transfer were strange. I checked my phone constantly, waiting for updates. I researched heart surgeries, mentally rearranging my work schedule to care for her. My colleague, Jessica, noticed. We shared an office wall, and she'd become a friend, though I kept most people at arm's length. During a coffee break, she asked if everything was okay. I told her about Linda. That's terrifying, Jessica said, genuinely concerned. Heart surgery is serious. How are you holding up? Nobody had asked me that. Not Chloe, not Eleanor, no one in my family. Their focus was all on Linda. Jessica's simple inquiry unlocked something in my chest. I almost cried right there. I told her I was managing. She squeezed my shoulder, told me to let her know if I needed anything. Her kindness felt foreign, and I briefly wondered what it would be like to have family offer that kind of support. For a week, I heard nothing. I texted about the surgery date. I called and got voicemail. I reached out to Chloe, who said Mom was resting and didn't want to be disturbed. The excuses felt thin, but I rationalized them. She was preparing for major surgery, of course, she needed space. Then I saw the Instagram post. Chloe was always careless with her social media, her account public, documenting her curated life. That Tuesday afternoon, scrolling during lunch, a photo stopped my heart. Linda and Chloe stood together in front of Big Ben. They were radiant, smiling, dressed in expensive new clothes. The caption read, "Mother-daughter European adventure begins. London is just the first stop. Next up, Madrid, Amsterdam, and the Amalfi Coast. Dreams really do come true." I stared at that photo until my screen dimmed. My hands started shaking. I clicked Chloe's profile, finding an album documenting their journey: first-class airplane seats, a luxury hotel overlooking Big Ben, designer shopping bags, champagne at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Each image hit me like a physical blow. There was Linda trying on sunglasses in a high-end boutique, the price tags probably more than my monthly grocery budget. There was Chloe posing in front of Westminster Abbey in a new designer dress, the tag still visible. A photo of their hotel bathroom, marble floors and gold fixtures, with a caption about the suite costing €400 a night, totally worth it. I did the math compulsively. First-class international round trips for two, at least $8,000. Hotels, at €400 a night for a multi-country trip, another $10,000. Shopping, dining, tours, it all added up with sickening precision. My mother didn't need heart surgery. My mother needed a vacation, and she decided my savings account was the funding source. The betrayal was so complete, so shameless, my brain struggled to process it. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Linda had lied with such conviction that I'd emptied my savings without hesitation. She had used my love as a weapon. I sat at my desk, untouched lunch growing cold, scrolling through photo after photo of my mother and sister enjoying the fruits of my labor. Wine tasting in Tuscany. A gondola ride in Santorini. A sunset view from a clifftop restaurant overlooking the Aegean Sea. They looked so happy, so carefree, utterly unburdened by guilt. My $35,000. My years of sacrifice. My savings, entrusted to my dying mother. They were spending it on a European vacation while I ate a packed lunch at my desk to save money. I called Linda immediately. No answer. I called Chloe. She picked up on the third ring. I heard a busy street, foreign voices, laughter. "Oh, hey," she said casually. "What's up?" I asked. Her point blank, what was going on? Why were they in London? What about the heart surgery? The silence stretched. Then Chloe laughed. It was a cruel, dismissive sound. "Mom never needed surgery," she said. "God, you're so gullible. She just said that because she knew you'd give her money. You always fall for the guilt trips." I couldn't process it. My brain refused to accept the magnitude of the betrayal. Chloe continued, breezy and unbothered. "Look, you have all that money just sitting there doing nothing. You don't have kids. You don't have a husband. You don't do anything fun. Mom deserves a nice vacation after everything she's been through with Dad dying. We both do. You should be happy you could contribute to something meaningful for once." I hung up mid-sentence. My phone sat in my trembling hand. The office hummed, keyboards clicking, distant conversations, but everything felt muffled, like I was underwater. Chloe's words echoed in my skull, "You don't do anything fun. Mom deserves a nice vacation. You should be happy you could contribute." Contribute. As if I'd willingly donated. As if the tears in my mother's voice, the manufactured fear of dying alone, had been a legitimate fundraising pitch, not a calculated manipulation. I thought about all the times I'd said no to myself for my savings, concerts, weekend trips, keeping my old car when repairs cost more than new payments. Every small sacrifice, every delayed gratification, while Chloe spent freely and Linda enabled her. They had taken all of it. Jessica appeared at my cubicle entrance. I don't know how long I'd been staring at nothing. "Hey, you okay? You look pale." I couldn't speak. If I opened my mouth, I'd scream or cry. I just shook my head. Jessica stepped inside, pulled the visitor chair close. "What happened? Is it your mom? Did the surgery go badly?" A harsh, broken laugh escaped me. "There was no surgery. There was never any surgery. She made it up. She's in Europe right now, spending my money on first-class flights and designer handbags." I watched Jessica's face cycle through confusion, disbelief, and finally, a cold, righteous anger. "She stole from you," Jessica said flatly. "Your own mother stole $35,000 from you." Hearing it said aloud made it real. The tears I'd held back finally spilled over. I cried at my desk while Jessica stood guard, turning away anyone who approached. She didn't offer platitudes. She just let me grieve. When the tears subsided, Jessica handed me a tissue. "I know a lawyer, civil litigation. He's handled cases like this. Family members defrauding each other. If you want, I can give you his number." The suggestion felt radical, almost obscene. Sue my own mother? Take family conflict to court? Everything I'd been taught about loyalty rebelled. But those same lessons had been weaponized against me my entire life. Loyalty was a one-way street. Blood ties were chains, not bonds. Maybe it was time to stop playing by rules only I followed. "Give me the number," I said. The following days blurred in a haze of grief and rage. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I replayed every conversation, every manipulation. The pattern was suddenly so obvious, I couldn't believe I'd missed it. I called my Aunt Eleanor, Linda's sister, hoping for sanity. Instead, she said I was overreacting. "Family helps family. Your mother struggled since David died. Surely you can forgive a little white lie if it brings her happiness. Besides, don't you owe your mother for raising you?" I called my grandmother, Martha, next. She was gentler, but her message was the same: let it go. Move on. Family is more important than money. Your mother meant well. The consensus from everyone who shared my blood was unanimous: forgive and forget. Stop causing drama. Except Linda needed the money more than I did. Something broke inside me during those conversations. The last fragile thread connecting me to the delusion that my family loved me simply snapped. I realized I'd spent my entire life trying to earn affection that would never come, sacrificing for people who viewed me as nothing more than a resource. The realization arrived with surprising clarity: all those years of working harder, achieving more, being more responsible, generous, none of it had been about earning love. It had been about earning utility. I was valuable only when I was useful. The moment I stopped providing value, I'd be discarded. Linda hadn't even waited a full week after receiving my money to spend it. She hadn't sent a single genuine update. She hadn't called to thank me again. The transaction was complete, the resource extracted. I had served my purpose. I spent several evenings alone, sorting through old photographs and letters, looking for evidence I'd imagined the neglect. Maybe I'd misremembered. But the evidence told a consistent story. Birthday cards from Martha addressed to our favorite girls with checks inside, Chloe's always for a larger amount. Christmas photos where Chloe sat on Linda's lap while I stood off to the side. Report cards where my straight A's earned a dismissive glance while Chloe's C's prompted family conferences. One letter stood out, from Eleanor to Linda when I was 12. I'd found it years ago, tucked in a drawer I wasn't supposed to open. Linda, it read, I know you find it difficult to connect with your oldest. She's so serious, so independent, not warm and cuddly like Chloe, but she's still your daughter. Try to remember she needs love, too, even if she doesn't know how to ask for it. Eleanor had recognized the problem decades ago, gently called it out. And Linda had kept the letter, considered it, and changed nothing. I wasn't imagining it. Eleanor had witnessed it and felt compelled to intervene. Her intervention made no difference. The knowledge hardened something inside me. Whatever happened next, whatever consequences my actions might bring, I was done accepting blame for wounds I didn't cause. I made an appointment with Mr. Harrison, the lawyer Jessica recommended. He was known for his meticulous, clinical approach. His office was sparse, serious. He listened without interruption, taking notes. When I finished, he put down his pen. You have an extremely strong case, he said. What your mother did constitutes theft by deception. She made fraudulent claims to obtain money. The Instagram evidence, text messages about the surgery, bank transfer records, these all support your claim. I asked about the process. He explained we'd send a demand letter. If that failed, we'd file a civil lawsuit for the funds, damages, fees. I should warn you, he added, cases like this get ugly. Family members will turn against you. The defendant often tries emotional manipulation. You'll need to be prepared for your mother to cry, claim poverty, paint you as the villain. I told him I was ready. I'd spent 34 years being painted as the villain for crimes I never committed. At least this time, I'd choose my own battlefield. Mr. Harrison nodded slowly, something like respect in his eyes. One more thing, he said. Document everything. Every phone call, text, interaction. Save voicemails, screenshot social media posts. Before they can be deleted. The more evidence, the stronger our position. I followed his advice religiously. Over the following weeks, I became a meticulous archivist. Chloe left increasingly unhinged voicemails, starting sweet, evolving into screaming threats. Linda sent texts alternating between guilt trips and accusations. Eleanor called to inform me I was breaking Martha's heart and would never be welcome at family gatherings again. Each message went into a folder. Each screenshot dated. Mr. Harrison reviewed the collection periodically. Your sister explicitly states here that your mother never intended to use the money for surgery, he pointed out, showing me a text where Chloe had written, Mom was never sick, you idiot. She just knew you'd give her whatever she wanted if she played the dying card. Chloe had always been careless. Her arrogance made her sloppy. She had no idea that every cruel word she typed was building the case against Linda. I also started therapy during this period, something Mr. Harrison gently suggested. Dr. Bennett, a calm woman, helped me process decades of accumulated pain. It's common, she explained, for adult children from families with entrenched favoritism to experience delayed grief when they accept the reality. You're not just mourning the money. You're mourning the loss of the mother you deserved but never had. She was right. The $35,000 mattered, but what hurt more was the undeniable proof that Linda had never loved me the way I needed to be loved. The theft was secondary to the message it sent, you matter less. You have always mattered less. You were born to be useful, not cherished. The demand letter went out certified mail. Linda received it in Europe, according to tracking. Chloe called that night, screaming so loudly I held the phone away from my ear. Are you insane? She shrieked. You're going to sue our own mother? Over money? What kind of monster are you? I remained calm. I told her the monster was whoever stole $35,000 through lies and manipulation. I told her if the money was returned in full within 30 days, the lawsuit would disappear. Then I hung up. Linda never responded. The 30 days passed. We filed the lawsuit. The discovery process revealed more than I anticipated. Linda's bank record showed a damning pattern of spending. The European trip had cost nearly $30,000. The remaining $5,000 went to Chloe directly, a cash gift transferred 2 days after I sent the original amount. There was no evidence of medical consultations in the 6 months before her call. No cardiologist visits, no hospital records, no prescriptions. The entire surgery story was fabricated. Linda hired an attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit, who immediately tried to get the case dismissed. He argued the money was a gift, that family financial support wasn't a legal contract. Mr. Harrison demolished this. He presented the texts where Linda explicitly stated the funds were for medical expenses. He showed my email confirming the transfer was for surgery-related costs. He demonstrated that my reliance on false information constituted fraud. Judge Evelyn Cross denied the motion to dismiss. A trial date was set. The period between the ruling and the trial was the longest 3 months of my life. Work became a refuge. Jessica checked in regularly, our friendship deepened. "You know what I admire about you?" she said one evening. "Most people would have just taken the loss. Convinced themselves family peace was worth $35,000. But you refused to be a victim." I told her I didn't feel admirable. I felt exhausted and sad. "Those feelings don't cancel out the courage," she replied. "You can be scared and brave at the same time. That's usually how bravery works." Linda's attorney tried various tactics to derail the case. He requested mediation, which I attended in good faith. The mediator, a retired judge, listened to both sides. Linda sat across from me for the first time since the theft. She looked older, smaller, a calculated costume, I suspected. Her attorney had probably advised her to appear frail. "I just want my daughter back," she said, tears streaming. "This has all been a terrible misunderstanding. I never meant to hurt her." The mediator asked if she'd return the money. Linda's mask flickered. "I can't return what I don't have," she said. "It's gone, spent. She should understand I needed that vacation after losing my husband." I was grieving. "Grieving in first-class seats to London," Mr. Harrison observed dryly. The mediation failed. Linda refused to acknowledge wrongdoing. The mediator noted the defendant showed limited recognition of her actions' impact. We were going to trial. Weeks before court, I barely slept. I rehearsed testimony, reviewed evidence. Dr. Bennett helped me develop coping strategies, breathing exercises, grounding techniques, permission slips to feel anger or sadness without judgment. "You'll want to appear emotionless," she warned. "You'll think crying makes you seem weak. But juries and judges are human. They respond to authentic emotion. Don't perform stoicism if that's not how you genuinely feel." I carried her words into the courthouse. In the months leading up to trial, my family launched a campaign to pressure me. Eleanor called repeatedly, cycling between guilt trips and threats. She said Martha was devastated, the stress affecting her health, that if something happened, it would be my fault. Uncle Robert sent an email accusing me of destroying the family legacy, being selfish and vindictive. Chloe sent flowers to my office with a card that read, "Please stop this madness. Think about what Dad would want." My father would have wanted me to stand up for myself, but they never understood that. The trial lasted 2 days. I sat behind Mr. Harrison, watching Linda enter the courtroom in a modest dress, probably borrowed. She looked frail, confused, a poor elderly widow victimized by her heartless daughter. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Chloe sat in the front row, behind Linda, face arranged in righteous indignation. Eleanor and Robert were there, a united front radiating hostility. I kept my eyes forward, refusing to flinch. Judge Evelyn Cross, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes, missed nothing. Mr. Harrison said she was known for her no-nonsense approach. The first day consisted of technical presentations, bank records, text logs, email chains. Mr. Harrison built an irrefutable timeline of deception. Linda's attorney objected repeatedly, most challenges overruled. On the second day, I took the witness stand. Mr. Harrison guided me. I explained my relationship with Linda, the favoritism, the phone call claiming surgery. My voice was steady, even when memories made my chest ache. Linda's attorney cross-examined me aggressively. He suggested I'd always been jealous of Chloe, implied I gave the money freely and only changed my story after feeling excluded from the vacation. He accused me of being bitter and unmarried, incapable of understanding family bonds. I answered honestly. I acknowledged my family's complicated dynamics. I admitted I desperately wanted Linda's love, and that desperation was precisely what she exploited. The defense tried to paint me as cold, calculating, seeking financial revenge for childhood slights. He asked about my relationship history, questioned why I had so much money saved if not because I was selfish. Mr. Harrison objected to several lines of questioning, Judge Cross sustained most. But some barbs landed. The hardest moment came when the defense asked about my father. "Isn't it true," he said, "that you blamed your mother for your father's death?" I had never said anything of the sort, and told him so clearly. But the question planted a seed of doubt. I could see Chloe nodding vigorously, as if this fabricated accusation confirmed everything she believed. When I stepped down, my legs unsteady, emotionally wrung out, Jessica, who'd taken a personal day, caught my eye and gave a small nod. Then Linda took the stand. She cried from the moment she sat down. Tears streamed as her attorney led her through softball questions about her health, her grief, her equal love for her daughters. Mr. Harrison's cross-examination was surgical. He asked her to describe her cardiac condition. She stumbled, offering vague answers. He asked for her cardiologist's name. She couldn't remember. He asked why there were no medical records. She said, they must have been lost. Then he displayed the Instagram photos on a screen, Linda in London, Madrid, Amsterdam. Smiling, healthy, spending money obtained through lies. "Mrs. Walker," Mr. Harrison said, "does a woman requiring $35,000 in heart surgery typically take an 8-country European vacation 1 week after receiving those funds?" Linda broke down completely. Her composure shattered. Between sobs, she started making excuses. She said she deserved a vacation. She said I had so much money and didn't need it. She said I'd always been cold and distant, and this was her way of getting me to finally contribute to the family. She never loved me. Linda cried, pointing at me. She never wanted to be part of this family. She only cares about herself and her precious career. I raised her for 18 years and got nothing in return. The accusation hung in the air. I felt every eye on me. Linda was weeping, her victimhood on full display. A primal part of me wanted to run to her, comfort her, apologize. But Dr. Bennett's voice echoed, "Her tears are not about you. They are about getting caught. About facing consequences. About losing control of the narrative she crafted for 34 years. The tears were manipulation, just like the fake heart surgery." I stayed seated. My face neutral. I let her performance play out. Judge Cross watched with an expression I couldn't quite read. When Linda's testimony concluded, she called a brief recess. We reconvened an hour later. The judge ruled in my favor on all counts. She found Linda obtained funds through fraudulent misrepresentation, that the evidence demonstrated intentional deception, and I was entitled to full repayment plus damages. The total judgment came to $52,000. Linda sobbed loudly. She repeated she couldn't pay, this would ruin her. Her attorney requested a payment plan. The judge approved monthly payments of $800 until satisfied. If she missed payments, her wages could be garnished, liens placed on her property. Chloe stood from the gallery, face contorted with rage. "This is insane," she shouted. "She's destroying our mother over money. What kind of person does that?" Judge Cross fixed Chloe with a withering stare. "Ma'am, you will remain silent in my courtroom or you will be removed. Your mother was found liable for fraud. The evidence was overwhelming. If you take issue with the outcome, I suggest you direct your anger at the person who committed the fraud rather than the victim who sought justice." Chloe sat down abruptly, chastened but seething. I watched Linda cry, and I felt something I hadn't expected. Not satisfaction, not triumph. Just a hollow, echoing emptiness where my love for her used to live. Chloe waited for me outside the courthouse. Her face was twisted with fury. All pretense of sisterly affection abandoned. "You've destroyed this family," she spat. "Mom will never recover from this. Martha is heartbroken. Everyone hates you now. Are you happy?" I told her I wasn't happy. I was just done. I walked away from my sister, standing on those courthouse steps. I walked away from her screaming insults, from her threats about karma. I kept walking until her voice faded into the city noise, until I was alone on a street corner in downtown Atlanta, breathing cold air, feeling lighter than I had in years. Jessica was waiting at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the courthouse. She'd left after the verdict to give me space. When I walked through the door, she stood and opened her arms. I hugged her for a long time. It was the first time I'd been held by anyone in months, and the simple physical comfort undid something tight in my chest. When I pulled back, my eyes were wet, but I was smiling. "It's over," I said. "It's over," she confirmed. "And you won. Not just the money. You won something bigger than that." She was right. The courtroom victory mattered less than the internal one. I had stood up to the people who had spent my entire life teaching me that I didn't deserve to stand up. I had refused to accept the role they had assigned me. I had proven to myself, if no one else, that my worth was not determined by their willingness to see it. That was 6 months ago. Linda makes her monthly payments. She sold her car to help cover the debt. Mark, Chloe's husband, is furious about the financial strain on their family now that Linda needs help with basic expenses. I heard their marriage is struggling. Martha sent me a letter last month. She wrote that she was disappointed, but she had started to understand why I did what I did. She asked if we could have lunch sometime. I haven't responded yet. Some wounds take longer to consider reopening. The letter sits on my kitchen counter, read and reread a dozen times. Her handwriting is shaky now, the penmanship of someone approaching 90. There's something heartbreaking about that trembling script. She tried in her way to be fair to me when I was growing up. She sent equal birthday checks even when Linda instructed her to favor Chloe. She remembered my achievements when others forgot them. But she also stayed silent when she could have spoken up. She chose family peace over family justice, and that choice had consequences that rippled through decades. I'm not sure if I'm ready to forgive that silence. I'm not sure if forgiveness is even the right framework. Maybe what I need is understanding without reconciliation. Maybe I can acknowledge that Martha did her best within her limitations, while also recognizing that her best wasn't enough to protect me. Maybe relationships don't have to be all or nothing. Dr. Bennett and I talk about this often. She encourages me to sit with the ambiguity, to resist categorizing everyone as either fully forgiven or permanently estranged. Healing isn't linear, she reminds me. And it doesn't require you to reopen doors you closed for good reasons. Take your time. Listen to yourself. The right answer will emerge when you're ready. I still see her twice a month. Therapy has become less about processing trauma and more about building the life I want, discussing boundaries. Relationships, how to trust again after betrayal. Small steps toward a future not defined by the people who hurt me. Eleanor has blocked me on all platforms, which is honestly a relief. Jessica recently asked if I regretted suing my mother. I thought about the question for a long time. Regret isn't the right word. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that Linda chose manipulation over honesty, exploitation over love. I regret the years I wasted trying to earn approval from someone incapable of giving it. But I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret refusing to be a victim. I don't regret showing my mother that actions have consequences, even when those actions are taken against someone who is supposed to love you unconditionally. People tell me I should have just let it go. Family is family. Blood is thicker than water. Forgiveness is divine. But here's what I've learned: forgiveness requires remorse. Reconciliation requires acknowledgement. You cannot heal a relationship when one party refuses to admit they caused the wound. Linda has never apologized. She has never admitted she did anything wrong. She still tells anyone who will listen that I'm the villain of this story, the ungrateful daughter who sued her own mother over a simple misunderstanding. I know this because people talk. Word travels through the extended family network. She's constructed an elaborate mythology where she is the victim of a mentally unstable daughter who twisted an innocent family loan into a criminal matter. She claims the surgery was real but got cancelled last minute. She insists the vacation was a coping mechanism for the stress I caused her. The lies don't hurt like they used to. They've lost their power because I no longer need her to see reality. I know the truth. The court records document the truth. Anyone who chooses to believe her version does so because they want to, not because the evidence supports it. What hurts still is the absence of accountability. Some small part of me hoped the lawsuit would shock her into self-reflection. I imagined her sitting with the judgment, reviewing her choices, perhaps even calling to offer a genuine apology. That call never came. The payments arrive every month. An automatic transfer, stripped of any personal acknowledgement. $800 appears in my account like clockwork, the only communication Linda offers. Sometimes I imagine her watching the money leave her account, feeling the sting of consequences, and I wonder if she thinks of me in those moments. I wonder if she has learned anything at all. Jessica says, probably not. People who exploit their children don't usually develop sudden insight. They find ways to justify their actions, to transfer blame, to preserve their self-image at all costs. My mother is almost certainly living inside a narrative where she is the wronged party, and no amount of evidence will convince her otherwise. I try not to think about it too much. The payments are not about relationship or communication. They are about restitution, pure and simple. There was no misunderstanding. There was theft. There was betrayal. There was a calculated decision to exploit my love for personal gain. I sued my mother and watched her cry in front of a judge. The image lives in my memory with perfect clarity. Her face crumbling, her body shaking, her carefully constructed victimhood collapsing under the weight of evidence. Some people think that makes me cruel. They think I should feel ashamed. I feel free. For the first time in 34 years, I'm not waiting for my mother to love me. I'm not performing for approval that will never come. I'm not giving pieces of myself to people who see me as nothing more than a resource to drain. The $35,000 was never really about money. It was about the principle that my trust deserved respect, that my generosity deserved honesty, that I deserved to be treated as a human being rather than a wallet with a pulse. My mother taught me many things, most of them painful. But the final lesson she gave me was the most valuable: you cannot make someone love you by sacrificing yourself for them. Some people will take everything you offer and ask for more, never once considering what they owe in return. The only person responsible for protecting me is me. I keep that judgment document in my desk drawer, not as a trophy, but as proof that I finally learned to protect myself, to value my own worth, to refuse exploitation regardless of its source. Given everything, what would you have done?